Unlucky gaming down there after Peanut's involvement and then just getting jumped on in the 2v2. The Trist Leona all-in potential was just some scary stuff, my friend. But hey, we're back onto the Rift, into the draft at least, for game number 2, and the sides have stayed the same.
There we go. Rainbow7, of course, having lost the first game, had the decision to choose which side selection they get, and they elect the blue side. So it seems like they didn't feel like counterpick was an issue. They were happy with the draft, or at least from the first 3 picks, I would imagine, that they had. So I want to see what changes they actually make within the draft here.
Now, in game number 1, you told us, Raz, that as a coach, you would want your team to play whatever they feel like is their best personal style in game number 1.
Yep.
Because that's what you want to bring to the table and just come out swinging in a best of 5. After a game like that first one, where they just kind of got trounced. Yeah, they had a couple of good punches back in the mid game, taking advantage of some mistakes that LGD made. But after getting your butt kicked like that in the first game, do you pivot now? Or do you only pivot when you're down 0-2?
I think you pivot.
Okay.
Camille Galio, as strong as it is, right now their biggest issues are in the laning phase.
Okay.
Alone just wasn't allowed to lane. If he goes towards... actually, they did pivot with a Twisted Fate ban.
Okay.
So they can actually go for the same comp if the enemy team still allows them to, but that was the pivot that I was talking about. They do not want that Galio Twisted Fate handshake. That has been a constant, honestly, in the summer split. Teams have been pretty happy going for both. Twisted Fate into Galio, you just have to have a great knowledge of the matchup, and you have to, at least if you're on the Galio side, recognize that you're going to get shoved in, harassed constantly, especially from level 1. Doesn't want to deal with that, so just bans out and xiye's Twisted Fate.
Yeah, that lane looked miserable. Every single time our observers panned over to it, it was just Galio getting hit in the face with a game of 52 pickup and just trying to chug enough corrupting potion to not be dead. So definitely don't want to be dealing with that one here again. Renekton, Shen, Lucian, all banned away. And hey, they're saying Josedeodo had a good performance on the Graves in game number 1. Let's get him back in here, see if he can carry it to a victory here in game number 2.
All right, makes a lot of sense for me. For LGD side though, you can elect to go for a top lane pick. I know that both Shen and Ornn are banned here. Renekton has usually been the go-to for a lot of teams at the beginning of plans. Oh, it is banned though. I almost forgot about that one.
Yeah, there's 3 different top lane bans in phase 1.
Pretty crazy.
Well, 4 if you include Lucian, since he's a flex pick up there.
So it just seems like LGD are going to go for a blind pick mid instead. We've seen blind pick Oriannas in Summer Split, but mostly with bans for mid. I know Lucian's banned, so that makes it easier for LGD, but Syndra and LeBlanc, I think, have been pretty difficult for Orianna as the lane goes on. So we'll have to see if Alone ends up electing for the both. I think he has to pick his champion in the first 3, because then it's just an easy ban for both Syndra and LeBlanc in second phase. So we'll have to see when he goes for it.
Alone has a road to redemption to walk here in the second game. Not a great performance back in game number 1. Honestly, neither were the carries on the side of Rainbow7. Really popping off a lot there. But hey, the answer is not Syndra or LeBlanc, my friend. Instead, the Emperor has returned. Alone will be playing the Azir in game number 2.
Haven't seen him this tournament, I don't think. Azir versus Orianna gives Azir prio, especially if he goes Comet. So Comet, Scorch, all of these things that Azir players have gone for makes it so your jungler can play through mid pretty effectively. And mid-jungle duos in this tournament, I would say Alone and Josedeodo have been working pretty closely by. I think it was like a 24% jungle proximity. So they are closely knit throughout the tournament. It's been the case throughout domestic play, and it seems like they're set up to succeed here.
Yeah, Rainbow7 is a team that does often approach the draft from the idea of having a strong 2v2 with their mid and jungle together. It's one of the trademarks of the team. But the Senna, locked in for the side of Rainbow7. Remember, in the draft from game number 1, the Senna was hovered over shortly and then switched to an Ashe lock-in. So that leads me to believe this pick was considered even in the draft of the first game. After the performance of the Ashe in game number 1, they're saying, all right, clearly that wasn't the right choice. Let's go for the Senna this time around. And on the other side, it's that Leona locked in here for the side of LGD.
What it tells me is that I think top lane is going to be a little spicy. Because a lot of times if you have the Senna in the bot side of the map, you just want to play away from it. You want to play towards your top lane carry. And for Rainbow7 that are on blue side, they elected for this, by the way. They wanted to be on blue. And so they want to have top lane be, or at least the top side of the map, be where they play through. And if that's the case, then I wonder how effective that's going to be against LGD that have not only banned Shen, Ornn, all of that, but have counter pick for Langx.
Yeah. That's a scary proposition right there. Also, that Leona picked up the Ashe banned away. So Rainbow7 do not want to play against the bottom lane combination that they drafted themselves last game. They're separating the Ashe and the Leona. There's a ton of CC between them. Once again, LGD paying some respects towards the engage supports. Alistar and Thresh banned away in phase 2 here. Remember, in our first game, the bans in the second phase for the side of LGD were Alistar and Nautilus. So they really do want to keep Shadow away from some of these engaged supports, from some of these playmakers, and limit the opportunities of Rainbow7 to have more decision-making power, more agency in how the team fights are conducted. Camille, the last ban of the draft here for Rainbow7. Let's see what LGD wants to go for here. We need to see a top laner. We need to see an AD carry. Fully expecting the AD carry to be the pick.
Yeah, I think Twitch is probably the pick because LGD should be confident in their 2v2 top side with counter pick. I know he's hovering a lot of AD carries right now, and it's going to be the Jhin. All right. Reason why is that I think there's just so many mid-range champion on the side of Rainbow7. So if you go for a Twitch, you can outrange them with the ultimate. You're not necessarily punished with that pick. But either way, they go for the Jhin. That's also long range with his own ultimate. A great utility AD carry. Yep. Great setup. Feels like the battle is going to be stationed topside. So let's see what the top lane pick is going to be for Rainbow7.
Hovering over a couple of different options here. There's that Nautilus. I mentioned that was banned in game number 1. Seeing it's open now, they go for it. And what will your top lane be? Rainbow7, Acce's got to be on something that he's comfortable playing blind. But even if Langx is given the counter pick of all counter picks, he can comfortably transition into a mid-game team fighter. Hovering over a couple of different options here. Let's see what it's going to be.
Has to be a blind pick. Has to be a safe blind pick. Aatrox has usually been the go-to. It's a little bit deflating. I'm not too excited about it. But once again, if you have a strategy that's stationed towards your top lane on blue side, you have to do... I already feel like that's kind of, initially flawed. I like this. This has been the counter for Aatrox, and if Langx is feeling himself, man, he might just lock that in.
During this boot camp... No, go back.
He doesn't have it. He doesn't want to do it anymore. Go back. Doesn't want it.
All right. They didn't go back. Okay. I've heard so many stories of the Chinese super server Fiora gameplay during solo queue and during prep for Worlds. I was excited to see the Fiora locked in, but we will not see the Fiora this time around. Instead, Langx on the Gnar.
Yep.
Running fleet footwork on that one for maximum sustain. Also a little bit of extra haste there in the lane. And I want to talk a little bit about this Aatrox pick, because you mentioned that you're not super excited about this one. It feels like his presence, his performance, just the general outcome of the games he's in hasn't been as great as it used to be. And I feel like, honestly, the same way. This champion feels like he's come up a little bit short every time he's drafted. And Langx running away from what could have been a 4-man collapse, so he'll stay alive just fine.
Yeah, he was sensing the play. Very smart. A lot of the times, I love, intelligent level 1s around Tribush topside. You can usually trap top laners. I think it's much harder if the top laner's on red side, because he has so many options for escapes. Yeah. Blue side's pretty easy because you just have a thick wall behind you and that bush that usually enemy top laner sits in. That being said, to the point that you made, yeah, Aatrox is interesting because this is the draft pretty much centers around that top lane pick. The Leona versus Nautilus. Nautilus is being picked into the Leo just for comp. It's not for the bot lane matchup. They're trying to play away from it. And if that's the case, then what we're seeing from Rainbow7 is Josedeodo using mid-prio to kind of get an advantage for their top lane, and it's going to be hard versus the Gnar. So it's just pretty safe. So, we'll have to see. Maybe Acce is a fantastic Aatrox player.
Now, in game number 1, the thing that we looked at and we're like, wow, this could be really extreme for Rainbow7 is the fact that they had 4 different champions who were really strong engagers. This time around, you have a Nautilus, and you have an Azir who is kind of more limited by whether or not he has flash to make a really super high quality engage. But then, Josedeodo Graves isn't doing any engaging. Aatrox often isn't a super effective engage unless he's really far ahead or finds a great flank. Senna's not an engager really either. So Rainbow7 don't have quite the same amount of tools this time around as Mark steps forward. Leona and Jhin can be such a scary combination too. Leona sets up Jin's Deadly Flourish so well and just guarantees the damage is going to pour through here. Peanut,
here we go,
towards the mid lane. Alone is not stuck underneath this turret here in this game, and Peanut's saying, oh, you're not familiar with the turret? Well, I'm about to show you the spawn platform. First blood, LGD.
Yeah, it was tragic. They caught him level 2. In fact, still didn't see the Kindred queued forward. A lot of these things I mean, Peanut has just been super active in the early game for both of these games, allotting to another first blood.
So tragic for Alone. Not only does he die, but he spins the flash and still dies. It's one of the worst feelings, especially if you just know that the enemy jungler is something like Kindred that has that mobility and has a very powerful gank that can burst you down quickly. You're now that much more vulnerable. Josedeodo's hanging around here, but he is on top of a ward, so LGD is aware that they don't just want to try to recommit and immediately blow up Alone again. Bottom side 2v2. A lot of damage down into Shadow, who definitely ends up worse for wear after this one.
Yeah, overall, I mean, Rainbow7 kind of needed Alone. And this has been a strategy that LGD have employed in both games. The first game, Comp required bot lane to have Prio, that they needed to play through Leza and Shadow. Peanut goes bot lane, blows both his summoners, and suddenly Rainbow7 don't have a lane to play through. This game, trying to play through Alone, and then as he's pushing out, Peanut comes through mid lane, and then just outright kills him along with getting his summoners. So, feels like Rainbow7 are being attacked straight through the draft with pre-planned... speaking of pre-planned...
Gnar could be in trouble. Langx with a flash, stays alive. TP coming in to keep him in good hands here. Xiye wants to make sure that his top laner doesn't end up losing a wave and a half underneath that turret. Big props, lots of camaraderie there between those guys to guarantee Langx's not in a worse spot. Both top laners using their flashes. Rainbow7 trying to find the ability to do the damage there, but just won't quite get it. Leza getting away in the bottom lane is ignited down to 100 HP. And Raz, once again, LGD in the 2v2, they're just in control.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Rainbow7 picked themselves into this. I was actually surprised that Kindred went back to base when he was, sitting in that bot side when Leza was put down to an insanely low HP bar. So, I mean, LGD are just happy with the advantages that they're getting, both through mid and bot lane. They just want to play it out so Peanut can now work for his own experience once again.
Now, Peanut has now put both games in his team's control so far with early presence on the Kindred. Remember, game number 1, although he didn't get an assist for the first blood, his presence in the bottom lane made Leza blow both summoner spells and facilitated a 2v2 kill shortly thereafter. Now here in this game, he does get the number on the scoreboard right next to him. He will receive the credit for it and the 400 gold that comes with that credit. And honestly, just this early impact on the game means a lot. Talking about early impact on the game, Langx could be in some danger here. Josedeodo flashing forward, and there's Acce picking up the kill.
Well communicated from Acce, recognizing that he had a wave pushing into him. And Langx was just in a bad spot. He either had to base, and TP back to the wave, which, doesn't actually solve the problem anyways. He needs his jungle hover. And Kindred is all the way on the other side of the map, so we didn't get to see the context for why the wave's state was in such a bad position, but the end result remained the same. Josedeodo comes topside, gets the first kill. Well done for Rainbow7.
Rainbow7 keeping this game close, pretty much dead even.
How you doing?
Honest with you, and there we go. Return gank into the top lane. Aatrox pops the World Ender, and Gnar pops the counter to World Ender, which is walk the other way.
Run. Book it.
All right, well, that's a little unfortunate there for Rainbow7 using the Aatrox ultimate to have Gnar hop away. A little bit of a feels badman, but hey, that's League of Legends sometime. Langx now hitting level 6. We'll have the Gnar ulti ready to go next time he turns into Mega Gnar. Peanut's on the bottom side of the map. You can see that a little light shining on his head as he takes yet another mark by securing the Scuttle Crab. And Peanut's Kindred has Josedeodo mark if he ever runs into him, invading the enemy jungle now. Look at the control ward down near that red buff. Means he's in a good spot as the 2v2 continues in the bottom lane. Follow-up coming through. Deadly Flourish finds the mark. Shadow trying to get himself back. Does lose about half of his health bar. Now we're going to have a 1v1 between the junglers in the northern part of the lane anyway. Kramer tries to fall back here a little bit. Leza finding some good return damage onto Kramer and Mark. Honestly, pretty even trade here in the bottom lane. Yes, Shadow is almost dead, but half the health from both Kramer and Mark together, and Leza's still full HP. Yeah,
I love the call from LGD to have Peanut just cut through the enemy red side jungle. Of course, they didn't see where Josedeodo was, so they knew that it was possible for them to get put in the counter gank position. But they were so far up in the lane that they just chased down Shadow and Leza. Thank God that, the sustain is there from the Senna. Otherwise, they would be in a pretty tricky spot.
It would be much more dangerous than it currently is. That is for certain. Second blue of the game passed off now to xiye. Peanut still level 5 here on the Kindred. Now Josedeodo's Graves is already level 6. Collateral damage adds a lot of extra punch to these ganks when he shows up. Both junglers have been responsible for the 2 kills that we've seen in this game thus far, and with the ultis coming online, I expect to see them make more happen. Peanut's returning to base, probably should be able to fix up most of that. Okay, I was gonna say should be able to get most of the entire warrior enchantment.
Yeah.
A little bit shy there on the money overall. And Josedeodo sets up shop here in the topside river going after the Herald.
Oh, this is nice. I mean, I was just about to point out how Rainbow7's been doing since the mid lane gank. They've actually been faring well in both bot and mid lane. Rainbow7's bot lane, when they finally had the shove, was starting to hover up for Josedeodo. This is going to be hard for Peanut to contest, but Leona's already here.
Yeah, LGD has moved up. Rift Herald is down to 2,000 HP. But Patience is resetting here. That eyeball gets proc, the smite could come through. Oh man, it's down to 900 HP. This is gonna be so good. Nice smoke screen from Josedeodo, making sure that the smite fight would not even be a thing. The eyeball's on the ground, Josedeodo walks up, confirms that pickup there, only takes a single auto attack for his trouble. Well played by Rainbow7.
It's a classic standoff situation because both Leza and Kramer hovered through mid lane just in case a fight ended up happening. But LGD just had no way of being able to contest it. It was already far too low in HP. And the point that you mentioned, Josedeodo ending up using his W smoke screen to make it hard for Peanut to go for another steal. You don't want that to happen, so just completely push it away.
Topside, the Gnar pick is struggling here. We had our doubts about the Aatrox early on, but his laning phase against this Gnar, thanks to the help of his jungler, is just going swimmingly so far. 74 to 58 in the farm department. That's normally not what you expect to see as a melee champion into a ranged champion, my friend.
Yeah, when we were in the draft, we were talking about the pick that we wanted to see, like a Fiora or Jax, like all these things that would kind of obliterate an Aatrox if well supported in 2v2. The fact that they ended up going for a Gnar, I think, was just them wanting to play for one side of the map. If you have a Jhin, Leona versus a Senna, Nautilus, they probably just recognize that Langx was just going to be on weak side. If you pick him a carry on that situation, then he's just going to fail. So it's okay. There are a few things that you can look back on and want change for yourselves, but Langx is in a pretty tough position. And how he played the lane, we didn't get to see the full context, but of course made it even worse. That ended up turning into a 1 death for him, but just play it safe. That's all you can do at this point.
Bottom side, Josedeodo joining up with the duo here to summon up the Rift Herald. This placement feels maybe a little bit early, but he wanted to make sure that they just got it summoned, got the instant gold payoff, not worried about maxing out the plates. May have been able to get that 4th one if they delayed the summoning there just a little bit more, but we'll never know. They get 3.5 plates. They add some extra money to their pockets. They are up 700 gold over LGD as the second Drake of the game spawns.
Yeah, I just love the fact that they used it on the base timer of LGD, but Peanut finds Leza.
Leza, oh, just barely getting away from the deadly flourish there. Could have been in some serious danger. Would have at least had to use summoner spells if that connected from Kramer's Jhin. And now LGD have managed to secure control over the river again for themselves. Rainbow7 did immediately have control, but they weren't in a good spot to protect it. And now the second Drake is being taken by LGD.
And they're just confident that they have the numbers advantage. Gnar's going to be there 4 seconds. Yikes. All right.
All right. Ulti count dodged away from by basic abilities this game. 2. Aatrox's ulti got walked away from, and then Azir just casually stepped to the side as the shockwave doesn't find the mark. A little bit tragic there for xiye, but you know what's not tragic, my friend?
What's up?
2 Drakes to nothing before 12 minutes into this game here for LGD. It's an infernal rift as well, meaning if they're able to grab that soul, they will do so much damage in these fights.
Yeah, and they showed to us what kind of concept, or at least what plays you can make when you have Cryo in the lane. They knew they had 4 seconds of, numbers advantage with Gnar coming from topside. So they just went for the Drake fight. If they can go for Drake, if let's say Rainbow7 ends up contesting them, they know they'll have Langx there first. So Rainbow7 had to concede it. So far, the main idea that LGD have been pushing through have been extremely successful this game.
Now, Josedeodo will continue farming up on this Graves. Is slightly behind his opponent in terms of farm. And speaking of his opponent, both of them with the sweepers about to bump into each other. As they move towards the mid lane, Peanut with the jump over the wall. Don't think we're going to get to see a whole lot here. xiye does have a slight experience lead in mid lane as well. But alone going in with the Emperor's Divide. Senna ulti comes through as well, looking to support these guys. Remember, xiye still doesn't have his ulti back up and ready to cast from where he whiffed it earlier. So we're not going to see an immediate re-engage coming out from the side of LGD. Zenith's blade over the wall will not find the mark. And LGD backs off, but now they're saying, hey, the blue buff is there. Let's go in, let's try to steal this one away. LGD's not in good shape to fight for it. xiye's got half HP and no mana. Rainbow7 should be
TP from the back, actually.
Peanut might go in for the smite fight here. Oh boy, here's xiye. Now they're gonna be fighting. Nice interrupt from Acce onto Langx, making sure he can't join the fight, but Shadow's gonna be killed there immediately. Alone trying to get away. Leona ulti gonna force a flash out of Leza to escape. So it's a 1 for broken teleport is the trade there. Langx tries to use that long summoner spell cooldown, gets interrupted, so he won't be able to do anything. But they do get the kill onto Shadow. They protect their own blue buff, and now it's LGD, the ones who are stealing the buffs away.
Yeah, it could have been far worse, so good job to Acce just canceling out that TP from Langx, but I'm liking what I see here. Okay, you're getting chased down here.
Unless you're Kramer.
Wow.
Like what you said. That was something. Okay.
I'm far away from home.
Yeah, Kramer was not where he needed to be right there, or if he thought he was, he didn't have the guys around him he thought he did. So free kill donated over to the side of Rainbow7 and putting that money on the Senna. Hey, that's what they need after the way things went against them there in that bottom lane. Turret plating immediately drops, and as soon as that message is on the screen, Rainbow7 jumps on the opportunity to take first turret in bottom lane.
Like, LGD are just sending the world out there, including their fans, very confusing signs. They're the type of people that you just don't know if you should confess to, because at the end of the day, at one point they're like, hey, we're looking pretty good. We're making great calls. Like, the idea of the double teleport was fantastic here because they knew that they were countering the blue buff invade. But then, immediately after that, you just have Kramer staying in lane, over pushing, is just incredibly greedy, and Rainbow7 catches that out.
Rainbow7 with a good punish, man. Hey, they're keeping this game nice and close. Dead even here. 2-2 kills. They do have to respect that Drake stack, though. Remember, this is a team who has had problems in the past fighting around objectives they shouldn't be fighting around, so I'm looking for them to make sure they're properly prepared and that they should fight around it, because honestly, you can't just keep giving these away. 5 turret plates to 0, though. Pretty impressive numbers there for Rainbow7 in the early part of the game, as LGD does have their mid laner here in this bottom part of the map, trying to take down this tier 1 turret, put a little bit of extra gold in their pockets. With the next minion wave arriving, he should be able to get this. Might take 1 auto attack. Yeah, 1 auto from the turret's a big deal. And with that bottom lane tier 1 down, that's a little bit less safety for Rainbow7 as they move towards this bottom side river and look to contest a Drake here in about a minute.
And that's, for me, the theme for me so far in this series is that Rainbow7 has great moments and great, like, kind of bursts. Like, that Rift Herald play that ended up getting them those turret plates was fantastic for them, right? But then LGD, I feel like, are much better at kind of like in the mid game, being able to take side lane turrets effectively. Mark is always hovering the right side of the map, and so they're able to just slowly chip at these gold leads. Here we go, though. Looks like there was a fight that was stirring, trying to get control of Vision near the river.
I think Josedeodo healed Mark with those bullets. Like, Leona took no damage.
That's some real Senna energy.
Whatsoever. Just walked up, did not care. Not a good time there for him, but LGD's coming down. They're looking for this Drake. Remember, you get this one, you're on soul point. Your opponents must then fight for every single Drake thereafter just to keep you from getting that massive soul advantage. Infernal Drake has entered the rift. LGD are clearing out some of the wards. They do have both a normal ward and a control ward there in that pixel brush. Rainbow7 do not want to let them get away with this. They don't want to allow this Drake to go over for free. Now you can see we've got all 5 players from both teams hanging out around here. Nobody's going to have to teleport in. They wouldn't have the summoner spell cooldowns ready for it anyway. All 4 teleports are down across the board.
What's up?
Acce approaching from the right. Engage shows up from the dredge line. Shadow's just going to explode here on the front line if he's not careful. The stasis keeping him alive for an extra second, and xiye gets rid of him. Deadly Flourish goes through, flash out from Acce, but now the follow-up flash, the Zenith Blade, the collapse from all of LGD. Acce's turning around and trying to fight. Peanut might be in some danger. No, he's not. xiye picks up 2 kills there. And just not the right engage from Rainbow7. They were not on the same page. Shadow was reading a different book. He's in there all alone, 1v5. They blow him up and they'll take the Drake.
Yeah, that was a completely different conversations Rainbow7 what happened there. They felt like they were on the same page. I liked initially how they were going to contest the dragon. Acce was coming in from a flank, but then he met the Gnar, while Shadow was met 4 people.
Shadow engaged while Leza was shooting a ward. They're not having the same plan there. You can see what's on Shadow's mind is, hey, enemy mid laner, I can catch him. But the rest of the team's not prepared. Acce realizes he's dead if he runs, so he tries to go back in, like, okay, maybe I can do some damage to the Kindred, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's a maybe that honestly just requires a lot of misplays from your opponents, like they just throw their skill shots out into the wild blue yonder, and that didn't happen, so ends up being 2 for nothing for the side of LGD. Now Rift Herald being taken by the side of Rainbow7. At least they'll get some sort of a consolation prize here. They're still down 2,000 gold. Need to use this Rift Herald to grab themselves a turret, make up for a little bit of those losses. And man, every Drake fight is now such a big deal in this game. Rainbow7 has to deal with multiple situations, 4 of them in a row, at least, actually, where they'll have incredibly high risk with not that big of a reward. Total gold, very interesting total gold information on the side of your screen right now. The richest person in the game is Leza.
Nice.
On the Senna. He has 100 more gold than xiye does. And then the next 4 richest people are all on the other side of LGD. So this Senna needs to do some work as Aatrox, Raz, I think our impressions of Aatrox may have been correct.
A little bit. He's definitely got pickpocketing in the red side jungle, so a few more golds now in towards Gnar's pockets.
Not the best time to end up getting picked off right there. At least it looks like they aren't going to lose a whole lot for it. Now, top side tier 1 will be taken down, but when you're looking at the state of Summoner's Rift, 19 minutes into the game, top lane tier 1 turret isn't exactly the most useful structure, probably most useless, if I would have to take a vote and see where everybody ended up polling. But bottom side, Langx on the Gnar. I mentioned in the laning phase how the Gnar was behind. This isn't what you expected. Things are going good for the Aatrox. They prioritize playing around him. Yada, yada, yada. It's all so great. Now he's down 40 CS. Oh. Now that 1v1 doesn't feel as playable. Their itemization is equal right now, but that's going to change the next time Langx gets to go shop.
Yeah, and for me, it's another story here is the idea that, oh yeah, I guess he was just fighting for red buff, isn't that weird? And he just got chased down. That's just wild. That's just crazy. Because that's just a coin flip. If you end up losing red, you're just obviously going to get chased down by range Gnar, so.
Not good. Not good. And look at the inventory on Langx now as well. Building towards the frozen mallet. Somewhere out there, a smile finds itself on Voyboy's face as Langx is in a spot where he'll just be able to chase this Aatrox down, or any target that he happens to find. And it means that if Rainbow7 put themselves in a fight where they didn't have to retreat and Gnar is in range, that retreat means you pretty much always have to sacrifice somebody to get the rest out. Rift Herald summoned up in top lane. Tier 1 turret gets headbutted. See you later. And xiye shows up in time to make sure Shelly's not going to get a second one off.
A few things that I've liked so far this game from LGD. In the Drake fight that everyone will look at and say that R7 botched it, I love that Langx was marking Acce. That just means that Acce was recognized that he was coming from a flank position, and so he just said, okay, if you want to come in a flank, you have to face me first. Yep. That completely separates the Aatrox from the play. Then at that point, Aatrox loses his identity because he doesn't want to come in a front-to-back situation, and he needs to basically have that state changed in that game state. And so I love the fact that Langx recognized that, number 1. And another point, too, is just when LGD are getting one side of the map, when they have Mark, let's say, hovering for xiye on the top side, Langx is playing incredibly safe. Mm-hmm. He's absorbing pressure. He's not being picked off in any regard. That happened for the first 10 minutes, by the way. And when Rainbow7 are on weak side, they're just getting picked up consistently. And you hate to see it. So now 57 seconds left. LGD are going to look to contest for the final soul for to get Infernal. Rainbow7 have to fight this.
Putting Exodia together piece by piece, and LGD are so close to having that soul ready to go here. You thought the damage on this team was deadly already, man. Wait until everybody else has a free Luden's Echo, essentially proccing every couple of seconds.
Here he is.
Over the wall comes Peanut. Acce better head for the hills, man. Over the wall he goes. Deadly Flourish will not hit the target. World Ender has to be used just to get Acce away. First shot hits.
Oh, no.
Second shot. Oh, that was so close. If they actually would have been able to hit them shots, that would have taken him all the way out of the picture. One more Jhin bullet from that ulti would have taken him down. He was at low enough HP, it would have done it, but they can't quite find it. He's still alive, but your Aatrox now has no ulti in the fight, which makes a pretty impactful difference here, as Rainbow7 knows their opponents have control over the pit. They know that priority belongs to LGD. Excuse me. Even mixing up my letters, the moment is so intense, as Rainbow7 really doesn't want to let this one go.
It's good that Rainbow7 was slowly pressing through, at least fighting for mid first. Well, it looks like Shadow's caught.
Here we go. Shadow flashes away, but now the engage is down to Acce. Remember, the Aatrox is very vulnerable. Has no ulti, also has to use his own flash there. Shadow's down to 1/3 HP. He still has his Gargoyle Stone Plate. Might make him last a little bit longer here. But in the previous fight in the river over the last Drake, that's when he used his stopwatch, so it's not like there's a stasis. There's not a true aggro drop here. Even with a Stone Plate at 1/3 health, it doesn't seem like it's a good idea. Gnar's moving around. He is flying. Langx teleporting in here just to make sure he's ready to go and that this fight goes the way of LGD. And look at that, Raz. Rainbow7, they know that they won't be able to contest this. It would just be a suicide run. Shadow was too low. Acce was too low. Josedeodo was too low. And that's Infernal Soul at 23 minutes for LGD.
It's a slaughter here. Rainbow7 can't do too much. In fact, even electing to use teleport here to just bulldoze through mid lane. I don't think Rainbow7 want to fight this, but they have to do something.
Well, you can see Alone on the other side of the wall. Might look for a chance to make some sort of a play. Has a flash. A Shurima shuffle could be a game changer, but it would have to be perfectly executed. Langx with enough rage on the Gnar bar means that even if they engage in a very big way, it's scary, man. The counter engage from the Gnar could just turn it all right back around. LGD with a 3,000 gold lead. Not as big of a lead as we saw in game number 1, but the Infernal Soul does add a lot of invisible value to that can't really be tracked through gold. Looking at the itemization, you've got the Stone Plate on the Leona, means she's not dying when she runs in, but items can wait because Rainbow7 has decided to go for the Hail Mary play. They're looking towards the Baron, and now Shadow's saying, nope, 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 call it off. LGD shows up. They sense that something might be going on here, and they stop that in its tracks.
Yeah, desperate times usually call for desperate measures. My thing around getting Soul, a lot of the time when you're on Soul Point, just to kind of show the audience how dangerous it is for an enemy team, the team with Soul Point usually starts threatening for Baron. Because, yeah, sure, they can get Soul. Like, they can just end the game off that alone. But Rainbow7 have to allot so much of their vision towards denying the objective, while the objective actually means so little for them.
Yeah, it's a level 1 Infernal Drake. Hey, 4% more damage, hooray. This was definitely worth trading for Baron, but it's not.
Yeah.
But you have to do it. It's why the Soul conversation is so interesting, right? Because it's such a difference in risk versus reward, as opposed to giving away a lone Infernal Drake versus an Infernal Soul. And now LGD, look at that, another mark going over to the Kindred, and they will be the ones starting up the Baron. They're saying, all right, Rainbow7, you gotta come over, you gotta try to stop it. This isn't an exceptionally quick Baron take, but Rainbow7 doesn't seem to be aware of it really. Okay, now you're seeing a couple on my way pings coming out, but the team's not in the same spot, kind of just walking around, having a good old time. LGD backs away.
The reason why I brought up that whole decision-making process with Soul Point is that now Rainbow7, having given away Soul so early, they can just play for Elder Dragon in 3 minutes. Yeah. And I know it's as if it's that easy, right?
It sounds weird, yeah. It's like, yeah, guys, just give away the Soul when you play League of Legends, and then you can play for the Laser Beam Dragon.
But like now that's a win condition, which is kind of awkward. But that's why LGD could have just held that Soul there for a little bit, played for Baron, get a fight around that, just kind of play around the map a little bit more and see what Rainbow7 do. Because Rainbow7 we're in such a desperate situation, they're going to have to fight for something. Now they're just trying to waste time. Buy as much time as humanly possible, try and stop LGD for even going for Baron, and then try and play for a steal on either Elder or the Baron itself. They're just that far in a bad position. Even though the gold isn't so far off, just a 4K gold lead for LGD, the stats are just so huge with the Soul kind of Infernal Dragons kind of blowing that up.
All right, we've got the Black Cleaver working on the second item, beyond the jungle item, of course, here for Peanut. So no Infinity Edge Kindred here today. Not huge burst coming out of him, but Mark coming around from the side, starting the fight. Alone in some trouble. Over the wall he goes, summoning up the Sun Disc. Mark is now in a dangerous spot. A lot of damage coming out from that. And nice punish from Rainbow7, but now off to the side. Leza might be picked up. Langx looking to make that kill happen. Jhin opens up the firing range. Will the curtains be called? The bullets go through. Fourth shot looking for the target here. Nice block by Acce. It's a 1-0 coming out from the side of Rainbow7, but not for long. Peanut! He picks up the kill onto Josedeodo, and the push will continue from LGD. It looked like a good defense by Rainbow7. The summoning of the turret by Azir as he gets away over the wall set Mark up for failure, but now LGD still makes the win come through. They're too far ahead in the game. They move right back up into the river, and Baron's the call yet again.
Yeah, even with how well they defended, as you just said, like, it's just overwhelming damage. That now LGD are just trying to trap him in another fight.
No, Shadow, man, this is not a good sign. Gnar jumps forward, cuts off the escape route, seeing if maybe there's even more to find here. Remember, Alone already had to use resources previously just to get away from the last dive attempt. Deadly Flourish will live up to its name. Xiye's on a killing spree. And with the Emperor of Shurima buried in his tomb for the next 38 seconds, I think that's your green light, Raz. It's time to go for the Baron.
Yeah, let's go for it now. I mean, it's just demoralizing. Rainbow7 are trying to get as much information as possible, and it's just costing them their lives. But at this point, it really feels like there's nothing R7 can do, so they're just bot side. They're just farming up and waiting for the inevitable defense.
LGD putting this game pretty much at death's door for Rainbow7, as they now have to answer an enemy team that not only has Soul and Baron, but has both of those secured just in time. Elder is spawning in 30 seconds. LGD don't have to play this wacky positioning game now where you have to decide, okay, do we trade Baron for Elder? Do we trade Elder for Baron? It does not matter. It's the only thing on the map. And here's a replay of Mark trying to set this up.
Now, he thought he had the stun lock down, but just has no cake on his face. It's kind of wild to see him just fall like that. But the immediate aftermath is just overwhelming DPS from LGD that still ended up getting a kill for that. So, TPing in.
Oh, no.
So, it's Elder Dragon time, everyone.
All right, Shadow didn't get caught there. For a second, it looked like they might have been aware that he was there because of the way the TP showed up. Mark eating a little bit of damage there from Leza. Shadow and Josedeodo hanging out over the wall. Shadow does have flash to get over the wall for the flank if he needs to. Sad cat emote describes the state of this game for Rainbow7 right now. 3 players from LGD moving up towards Kramer to join up with him. Langx still separated from the rest of the squad. He is very confident in his ability to stay alive by himself. xiye throwing out the ball towards those guys, making sure they're not able to get any closer towards this objective. Josedeodo's down below half HP. Langx is just putting in work. Over the wall, Josedeodo, what the hell are you doing? Mark picks up the kill. Meanwhile, back in the Dragon Pit, it's Peanut securing the Elder, and with 2 players on the enemy team dead, LGD is going for that game-winning push.
This is the biggest stomp I've seen, I guess, since like the TL like a legacy game that happened really early on in the tournament. It just feels really disheartening for Rainbow7 that are just being trounced. It's just that Rift Herald play.
This is it, Raz. They're pushing down the mid lane. Who's going to stop them? Alone on the Azir just does not have the itemization. He needs to make a 3v5 play. Leza is exploded. A rampage for xiye as the Lamb's Respite will make sure no return kill comes through. Leona ulti only finds the slow, not the stun. Where's the laser? Double kill over to xiye. And they're looking for even more. The Nexus now exposed. LGD will move on to match point 2-0 in this series.
I'm starting to hear that Rocky montage working. I hear in the distance. It seems like they're fairly close to Philadelphia. Like, LGD looked so bad at the beginning of the tournament and are only ranking up and getting better, getting more discipline. And it feels like during the best of 5 itself, it's just been 2 games. But the mistakes that we saw in the first game have been lessened, have been dampened, and Peanut looks on point so far this series.
I applauded Peanut at the beginning of this game, and I want to do it again now. Both of these games early on have been facilitated and catalyzed by his performance.